What's up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and you are listening to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. I got my guest Logan here with me today.
What's going on?
He's with Cinema 83, and
doing a little producing and guesting at the same time.
Yeah. He does all my editing. He does my videography and stuff for RP. So he's a very solid resource and a good friend. The end of last year, we did an episode which was called the comeback episode. As most of you that have listened to this podcast before, you know, we've recorded some episodes last year at my old space. Shit kind of hit the fan, and so here we are. And we did a comeback episode at the end of the year in my living room at my house. Some mishaps there. My dog was raising all kinds of hell.
Yeah, that's
being a pain in the ass. I love her to death, but God, I wanted to choke her.
I was watching that the other day.
Yeah, I checked it out this morning. There's one part where I'm like frustrating the fucking shit out of me. But no, I love my dog. She just acts up. She's a big dog. So yeah, decided to put a halt on things until now, and we are in the new Relentless Pursuit headquarters.
We absolutely are. It's crazy to be in here. Even just for doing this. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, man. We got very blessed to have the setup I do here now. It's very professional. So looking forward to getting a lot of killer guests, and we'll be releasing after this one. This episode will drop August 1st, and then we'll be releasing podcasts on a weekly basis every Monday from then on.
Yep.
So, but today
we're going to talk a little bit about where you've been. And
yeah, Logan's going to be interviewing me today.
Indeed. Last time we did this, we were talking about this right before we started. Last time we did this, I kind of pretended to be you in the beginning and was like, you know, hey, it's Joe Adams, and now we got Joe Adams as a guest. But
yeah,
well, you know, we're kind of tossing the role back and forth. I guess it doesn't really matter too much, but
it doesn't matter at all. Making it work, right?
Yeah. But we were in here last week planning all this, and we talked about, which I think is maybe a good spot to start. We were talking about how a couple years ago I used to live with my buddy Dakota. Shout out Dakota if he's listening. But
shout out.
He just basically let me stay in his extra room at that time. So we were just in the living room of this apartment. I was sharing it with my buddy and talking about Relentless Pursuit before it even was a thing. I mean, last time whenever we were talking, I said, I think at that time there hadn't even been a shirt designed yet.
Yeah, I mean, I had that initial shirt designed, and I think I got all that apparel like right when the tornado came through Nashville.
Yeah.
And I ended up donating like half my shirts. Thank you.
Cool.
I ended up donating like half the shirts I had. And then, of course, I, was a little too gung-ho with that first release. I ordered way more shit than I needed. So I just finally sold out of all that apparel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had so many shirts in that first release, which they were great. It was a shit ton. And of course, from then to now, I've dropped so much more and like sold all that. And,
well, I know you said you were trying to clear out inventory when we moved in here, but I didn't know it was that.
Yeah, so we got a new release. I mean, I got screwed over by this graphic designer, and so I was supposed to be releasing that stuff like beginning of this month, but now it's postponed like a month and a half. So beginning of August we'll be doing the new drop, and then from then on we'll be doing more and more and more. So
cool. Well, the other thing I was going to say about that too is that so as Joe mentioned, I have videography, photography company. Excuse me. Do podcast producing and all that kind of stuff. But one thing that I'm super proud of, which I think is the case for you, I think it'd be even more the case for you because of the type of business that you have, and also because you were literally starting it right then. I was a couple years in, but what's the pandemic, right? So you started that business, right? You said the tornado, but the tornado was the first thing in 2020, and then it was not even a couple months later, the whole freaking world
right after that. Down. Yeah, it was like a week later.
Yeah. And the reason why I say like the business that you're in too is like you have physical product that you had to sell. Like you said, you ordered a bunch of stuff to sell. You have, and at the time, like I had to drop my prices just because, I had to. There was just not so much opportunity at the time. Places weren't even open. A lot of my clients, some of my clients I don't even work with anymore just because they don't, if they are still open, they don't have the resources maybe that they had before. And it's really been a big thing. But my point being is that at the time, I could imagine that just being the worst timing for you trying to do what you're doing here.
Oh, it's still a pain in the ass. Like,
and not to mention all the shipping.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not to mention again because you have a physical product that you have to get to you and to people. And
well, I wasn't wearing a mask when I was packing orders, and I didn't sanitize. So there, take that. No, but it's still a pain in the ass as far as apparel goes and getting product and whatnot. Right now, for example, this next release, I'm doing this whole 80s like synthwave type of style.
Which looks awesome.
Bright colors, yeah, all kinds of cool shit. Just a vibe I really love. I listen to a lot of synthwave music and stuff too, so it just fits. I was like, man, that'd be a cool thing to do. It'd be fun. I usually have like the darker colors and just kind of like that aesthetic going.
Yeah.
But this is just going to be something much more fun and bright and just summertime type shit. So I'm really excited about getting that going. But, for example, I wanted to do neon silkies, Sophie shorts. You can't find Sophie's pretty much sold out of all that product except for like extra larges and all those. So I have to do like dark colored silkies, and I'll do brighter like print on it and stuff like that. But it's just things like that, man.
Yeah.
Still from the whole COVID shit.
I bet.
They're not producing stuff like they were.
Well, and some of the stuff that wasn't an issue before is an issue now. It's like some of the stuff maybe you can get now, but something else maybe have an issue. Then you have other things that have gone on in the world, obviously, since then that have not helped. But
nope.
But talk a little bit about, I think, this is the comeback episode, part 2. And like he said, we did this towards the end of the year last year. I was actually thinking about it the other day. I can't believe it's been that long. Because like in that episode, you were talking about things that happened in like August and September. And I'm thinking, well, it's almost August again. I can't believe it's been that long. But take us through, I suppose, given that being the theme, last time we talked, like you said, you were in your house. Some of the things that are going on now that I know about, had already happened. Obviously, like, your relationship that situation had already happened. And you talked about that a little bit, but things are definitely different now. So since then, kind of catch everybody up on where you've been. And
yeah, so like you said, August, September, that time frame, I went through that bad breakup and whatnot. Whole world kind of flipped upside down. Had to restart, moved to Murfreesboro, just kind of redo everything. My whole life was kind of planned, and then it all fell through within a day.
Yeah.
So that threw me through, quite the hoop. And I think when we had this last podcast, I talked about that was right after I went and did the ayahuasca ceremony, I believe.
You're good.
I gotta learn to work with all this fancy shit, and I got Logan baby in me.
You're good. If you hear yourself, like you hear how you can only hear me. If you hear a little bit of an echo like that, that's because you're too far away.
Okay, I'll work on that.
That's what we got these for, baby.
Takes time. This definitely helps.
Yeah, 100%.
Sounds very clear. It's very loud though. Got to get used to it. Yeah. I think last time I recorded with some headphones like this, I was on mushrooms and it freaked me out a little bit. I was like, what the hell is going on?
I was telling you the first time I ever used the headphones was I went to do a podcast with somebody who smoked like a freaking chimney, which I never really necessarily have an issue with, but that time I did. And he was explaining to me like I was telling you how the sound comes in, like if you had one of these off, how it comes in one ear, but you also hear it in the electrical side of the headphone. And it freaked me out so bad, I just had to take them off. I was like, dude, this is too much right now.
Yeah,
so
luckily
I couldn't imagine being on.
Oh yeah, I was with 3 other dudes, some hard hitters, and for the first little bit they conversated mostly, and I just kind of sat there and stared because it was freaking me out. I was like, ugh. I just hear my voice so clearly, it's fucking my head up.
They're like, hey Joe, you are the guest here, brother.
Yeah, but no, it was pretty funny. Like, I don't know, it was kind of a cool experience. I'm sure we'll do that at some point on here, just because like I want to do it all. Make this very fun journey with this podcast. Yeah. So,
but sorry, I interrupted you. You were talking about from the we did that episode and then to now. I interrupted.
Yeah. So we did the. I was going to be doing the podcast at my house, and I just realized after that recording, I was like, that's not going to work. With a dog and just all the external, friggin' interruptions. I was like, I'm going to wait till I have actual legit space for it, and then here we are in the headquarters, but. Excuse me.
But even that was a process because I know, shout out Tyler Gentry. He was on one of the episodes here, and people that are watching this know him. And I know at first that was, you don't have to get into the details of why that didn't end up happening, but I know this has been a process. This wasn't the first place that you found. So I'll kind of backtrack a little bit. Let's and also why even do this? You know what I mean? Like, cause I know why, and like we've talked about it a lot, but again, for the audience that's watching, that's like, okay, this is a comeback episode, and with that terminology, the reason why I keep bringing that up is like, let's explain to the people why this was something that you wanted to do, because you have a lot of reasons from the apparel side to the gym side to the podcasting studio that we're in right now. Like, this had a lot of thought that went into it before you even found the place.
Yeah. So honestly, this is kind of like doing the headquarters. It's something I've always thought about in the back of my head, but I've never been like, oh, let's make that jump, like, I don't know, the whole weight thing, the weight mentality, which isn't me anyways. I just like to go after whatever. But, I thought about doing this a couple years ago and was told, oh, that's dumb. Like, take your time. And then looking back and to now, I'm like, man, that's never been my way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the timing worked out perfectly. I mean, literally we're in this spot. It's less than half a mile from my house. So it's super convenient. The space is brand new. We got to build it how we wanted. It's legit. But, so let's see, I did the ayahuasca ceremony, then we recorded, and then there was nothing after that. I'll be honest, I hit pretty big lull period. It was a pretty difficult time there for a little bit. I just was not inspired, was not motivated to do a whole lot with the brand. I had done a release and that sold all right. Sold pretty well, but it was just like, I don't know, that fire.
Didn't really care.
The fire's always been there, but it was just barely burning a little bit, It was staying alive, but I needed something to stoke it. And so moving forward, I had just been spending time with like my brothers, and my tribe, the Hari, and doing stuff with them and just kind of talking about life and just trying to figure out how to navigate all this. I just wasted a lot of time. And let's see, just trying to think. And then I started looking and doing therapy and whatnot, because I realized I was like, man, I've got like really fucked anxiety, and a lot of that stems from like, I think a lot of things in my life that I just kind of brushed under the rug. I was just like, oh no, just keep charging forward. This happened to you, keep charging forward. And then it all came to light, especially when I met my girlfriend, Lydia. We live together now. Like we met back in like the end of February, I believe. And, I got a drink with her and I fell for her immediately. I was like, this is the one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it was pretty dope. And just after conversating with her for some time and just being extremely open and vulnerable, learning about what she's been through in her past, and, she's in therapy and stuff for similar things for like anxiety and whatnot. And she kind of pushed that. She's like, Joe, just talk to somebody, man. They can help you a lot. Because I get to the point where I'd be like, I'd wake up and I'd sit on my couch for like hours in the middle of the night, just in tears. Like, why did you even survive your wreck? You didn't deserve that. Like, there's other people more deserving of like the opportunity you've been given. Like, just my mind would literally, like, I know it's not true, but at the same time, my mind would just spiral out of control. And it just like, go. And I've tried to stop it and it just wouldn't. And it just get worse and worse. So I started doing the therapy because she just like really pushed that quite a bit, because being with her and seeing how good she's been to me and supportive, it made me realize how fucked up I was in the head a little bit, and a lot of it, I hate to say, stems from my past relationships and whatnot. And I just kind of let a lot of the things build up, and then seeing how someone treats me now, it's like, holy shit, like,
it's like an eye opener.
Extremely big eye opener. At first she was like, oh, am I doing this to you? And I'm like, no, like, if anything, you're helping me. You're helping me realize some shit that I'd never dealt with.
Right.
So now I got to tackle this head on. So I started going to therapy and just kind of working on that and talking things out and just realizing a lot of different things. And like, man, it's been a game changer.
I bet.
Yeah. And then, so that was one big move. I had another bare knuckle fight back in January, won it, of course. That was a good time. Like I said, staying busy with my brothers and my family and whatnot. Trying to think, but still there were like the wheels for the brand just weren't spinning. Yeah. And I think beginning of the year, myself and Tyler Gentry came out to this actual location, a couple units down, and we had talked about splitting a space, like this exact space. And, you know, we had looked at another space and whatnot, and we were just going to, you know, split the rent and just run our businesses out of one space together, which would be cool. Tyler's a shit. But long story short, it ended up kind of being like, hey, man, he was just like, dude, it's not the time for me to make that move, you know, and so be it. And I was like, well, shit. So I was kind of stuck again. I was like, man, that would have been really exciting. Like, how am I going to make this work on my own? And then I just kept thinking about it. I was like, man, like, I really still want to do this shit. And I was talking to Lydia, and I was like, you know, should I make this move? She's like, Joe, do it. Yeah. You're going to do it. Like, I'm here. You're going to figure it out. Yeah. And that's what, you know, a lot of people in my peer group have said. They're like, Joe, you figure it out, bro. That's what you've always done. And so I pulled the trigger, you know, went forward with the build out and everything, and signed a lease back in April on this space, you know, told them exactly how I wanted it done. And they finished the building within like 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, they killed it. They killed it. We've been
chugging liquids.
You're good. We've been, I'll jump in for a second. We've been coming up here. I think it's probably averaged out to once every couple weeks. Originally we were going to try to come once a week, but we filmed maybe 3 or 4 times at least up here, and we haven't filmed at all since it's been where it's at right now. Last time I was in here, there were no mats in the gym, and I do want you to go through like the whole each space because of, you know, and what you're using it for, just so that people really have an understanding of the scale of this place. And also, I don't think the video that we're putting together showing kind of what it started with, and it probably won't be out by the time this episode is out, but go find that if you haven't seen it. If you're watching this later on and it is out, go watch it. But, you know, you'll kind of see that whole process. But it definitely did not look like this. And every time that we came in here, it was like major improvements. I mean, there weren't even walls in here. The first day that we came in here, there were like this wall behind my head and that door right there was not there.
Yeah.
You know, there was no walls, and there damn sure wasn't any paint on the walls or any of this. And obviously, you know, this table was, I mean, it was literally just a big open space. And every time we came in here, it was like,
oh yeah, I would stop by like a couple times a week. Yeah. Dudes would be like, what the hell is this guy doing? Yeah. They're working. I'd be like, hey, you know, just checking my shit out.
Bro, look, we put 5 nails in there today, okay? That's all we did. You were here 2 hours ago.
But it was so exciting, you know, just like seeing it from when it was just an empty shell to where it is now, just watching that whole transformation. You know, it was an older building that like we just painted the walls and shit, like it was built from the ground up.
For your specifications.
Exactly how I wanted it. Yeah. Like I couldn't be more fired up for it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, watching that transformation over that 7-8 week period, it's pretty badass, you know. And then, you know, I officially got the keys a few weeks ago, and my buddies Kip and Sean, shout out to them. They end up helping me like move some stuff in, and you know, started to become a little bit more official. And then just every day, just constant improvements, you know, adding. So basically a walkthrough, I'll kind of tell you all about the space.
I want to come back to some of the things you were talking about before during in between like the last episode and this episode, some of the deeper stuff, but I do want you to definitely tell them what you're about to say. So
yeah. Real quick. So basically you walk in, you know, we got a little hallway, there's a bathroom to the right. Go down the little hallway, my office is to the right there.
It's a nice office, good space.
Yeah, nice little space, you know, just something that.
And the most important, you have your own room. Like you have an office, that you can, which was one of the things you expressed to me. One of the first things you expressed to me was like, dude, I don't want to work at home.
No.
You were like, there's not enough separation. I need, you know, which a lot of people.
Shout out to all the people that can work remote and just from home, but it drives me fucking insane.
Dude, I told my mom a couple of years into doing my business, because that's what I mean, I edit at home. You know, if I shoot, I'm out here with you right now. But at the time when I first started, I didn't even really have any shoots. And so I was at home just like 8 hours, 10 hours. 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I definitely told my mom on more than one occasion, I was like, this does not feel healthy for the human mind. And then 2020 happens and everybody's working from home. And my mom actually ended up calling me a few months into it and was basically like, I don't know how you did this. Can you help me? Because I can't, like, this is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, it's really affected me. You know, and a lot of people were, you know, with working in the office, it's like you would think before the pandemic, you'd be like, yeah, send me home for 5 days a week or 4 days a week. That's great. But it's funny to hear people now. They're like, I would love to go to the office, or I don't know how people do this. I don't know how people deal with it. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, you could take a shower and try to change your clothes, like there's little tips.
There's things you can do, like stay active, go on walks and shit. Yeah. But
at the end of the day, you're at home. My mom, I think it was my mom. Somebody actually told me recently, and I thought it was interesting that they know people that have gotten to the point where they like take a shower, change their clothes, put on work clothes, and then they'll actually leave their house and go drive, and then like drive for like 5-10 minutes, and then just come back.
Yeah,
and like just to try to mentally check in whenever they get back.
You know? You can go like sit at coffee shops or like
it's really
one Friday my lady and I went sat at a brewery, had a couple beers. You know what I'm saying? Like that was cool,
but it's not a permanent office.
But still, there was so much lacking.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like
nothing really compares to this.
I didn't have any creativity flowing. Yeah. I felt very unproductive. I think that was a big part of like kind of being very anxious and depressed, which is like, man, I feel like, I don't know, a lot of people tell me in my life, like, Joe, you're always getting after it doing shit, but I felt like I wasn't doing shit. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I train and I do this and that.
Yeah.
But like, I still feel so just
stagnant
and mundane, and I was like, man, this sucks. And so being in this space, I'm able to like, creativity is constantly flowing.
Yeah.
After the space is completely done, I get everything hung up and like just situated, here in the next week or two, I'm going to start the content creation aspect of it. Social media, fucking TikTok. I don't want to be on TikTok, but I got to do it, but whatever helps get the brand out there and the message. But, just I feel so different. Like even my woman was just like, Joe, like your mentality just seems so much better. And I was like, man, because like I got this space, like I'm doing it,
you're excited. You have something to like look forward to. You have like I mean, your energy's great. It definitely is.
Yeah. It's an amazing feeling.
And you're also immersed in your brand. You know what I mean? Like even if you had like a co-working space that you were going to, every day and you're like, oh, this is better because it's more productive and I have more of a setup or whatever. It's like a co-working space. This is like you walk in the door and it's your shit all over the place.
Yeah.
And when we're sitting in here right now, it's your logos all over. Like this is your shit, so you're surrounded by your shit. And so your mind's just constantly going to be thinking of things that are related to what you're immersed in.
Exactly. It's like my comparison is like, the Rob Dyrdek's like Fantasy Factory. Mm-hmm. I always thought that was the coolest shit. I was like, dude, this guy's making money just fucking off. Like they do so much cool stuff. Like he runs his company, but they just have fun. And this is like not even close to the scale of that, but that's kind of the vision. Like, years down the road, okay, let's freaking get a big warehouse and let's like open it up, do the same shit we do here, but more.
Like this is the first headquarters.
Yeah, this is HQ1. And, but I mean, this is a hell of a start. Oh, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. So we were on the tour. We turned right into your office. Then you turned left into this room.
Yep. And then we got this podcast studio, which is like a 12 by 19 space. I got 4 boom arms set up, a couple cameras, recording equipment. We got a coffee maker, fridge, microwave. People want to use that. Like it's a perfect setup. I'm putting some more art up here soon. And, it's cool because like I can bring multiple guests onto this show and record with them, but it's just like an awesome location. Like, hey, we don't got to do it at a different spot. We don't got to rent a spot. Like we just go to HQ, knock this shit out. So this room's badass. And by the way, if anybody's ever interested in the Murfreesboro, Nashville area, if you need a space to rent out, I will be renting this space out for individuals to like record their stuff. They can use all the equipment and you just get somebody else to edit it. So,
It's a good plug. And I can edit it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Logan, he's the man.
That was not planned.
No, I mean,
seriously,
it works out. But then you come out the door and you go straight ahead into the next room. It's a big 30 by 30 space. On the left, we have all the shelving. We have all the inventory, the printing station, the shipping station, all that. I'll be lining up more shelving as well when the new release comes in and getting all that lined up. To the right.
It looks like a small store is what it looks like. It looks like, and again, not to keep cutting you off, but I'm mind blown by the whole thing too. But what he just described with like the podcast room and the office and the initial hallway is almost like the front wing of the building, because the building has like 3 parts to it really. So like the front part has like the podcasting room on the left and the office on the right, and
lowered ceilings, just kind of like
the lowered ceilings. It feels
more of an office.
Yeah, like if that back door, like if this door right here outside of this door, it leads into the merch and all that stuff. If that door was just a door and that was it, like, and you said this was like the spot, I'd be like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you open that door, and to your point, ceilings,
vaulted. Yeah.
There basically are no ceilings. So it
Feels like a huge room.
Yeah, just this gigantic, huge square room.
Yeah.
With the merch to the left and then.
Yep. And then to the right, we got my boxing area. So obviously, like, we'll get into the client thing, but clients can be trained there, like, teach them some stuff. My boy Caleb, shout out to Caleb, awesome boxing coach. He's a freak of nature, man. He's badass. He's going to be coaching me there like almost daily. Come start next week. But yeah, so you got like the aqua bag hanging in the corner. I got a piece of wood I'm hanging up for just like my bare knuckle conditioning, ladders, stuff for drills, and there's plenty of room to do some sparring and stuff in there. So I'll be working in that space quite a bit just because I want to get more bare knuckle fights under my belt and then get into the amateur boxing scene as well. So that's just, like I said, it's like a hub to do everything. So awesome. I can record the podcast, do creative stuff, do my inventory and shipping and all that. And then, I can also box.
Yeah.
But then you go into the back room and it's another 30 by 30 space, vaulted ceilings, and we've got all the equipment in there. So what that is a personal training studio. You walk in, like I said, it's got rubber mats all along the floor. We got a couple half racks on the right side, a cable machine. On the left side, we got dumbbells, 5 to 100. We got a deadlift platform, leg press. We got an air bike, a rower. We got a torque sled because in the back, there's a 10 by 10 garage door that rolls up. So we got a whole outdoor area where you can get some conditioning and stuff going on out there. I put some clients through the ringer last week, within 15 minutes they were dying, but I love having that space, so it's got kind of like it's just got a really cool feel to it. It's not too much. I don't want to have a commercial gym. I just would take so much time for me running the brand.
Yeah.
So I'm training clients there now. I got some trainers starting here soon and trying to get another couple trainers in here as well, but they'll just be paying rent every month, and then they'll just train their clients out of that space. And, we'll make them part of the family, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It's an awesome space. I mean, we were just back there a minute ago, and like I was saying before, we've come in here every week or two. But last time I was in here, the mats weren't in here, and a bunch of the equipment wasn't put together. Oh, excuse me, guys.
Yeah, I'm just like chugging stuff.
Dude, I'm over here drinking water. Like I don't have a microphone right in front of my face. But now it's pretty much set up. I know you said there was a couple other things going in there, but when we were back there just a second ago, it was even, like I was telling you, it looked really big in there. Even without the garage door open, which the garage door, if anybody has ever been in a gym that has a garage door, it makes it feel way bigger because you just have the whole outside that you're viewing plus the natural sunlight comes in, which makes it, feel really big. But point being is there's some really good equipment in there. You got your deadlifting platform, your dumbbells, you got everything you need. And there's such a huge space in the middle still. Like I was telling you, I was surprised to see, like, with all the stuff in there, how big it is. But that was also probably the last room that still had random stuff in it, like from the construction and stuff that was just like sitting on the ground. So it's probably it's hard to visualize that one maybe more than any other spot just because there was all kind of stuff in there. But
of course,
now that it's cleaned out and set up, it looks amazing.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, shout out to my mom and my woman. Like they, my least favorite thing to do with all this is inventory. I hate folding clothes and putting them up and organizing it. Like I literally, it's like a Michael Scott in The Office. Yeah. He comes back from Jamaica. And I don't know if you've seen it, but Pam.
They would know.
Well, a lot of people watch The Office. Yeah. But if Pam, she's like, oh, we got to do inventory. He's like, I literally went on vacation to avoid doing inventory. And I'm like, that's like me in a nutshell. Yeah. But
that's the spot, dude.
Yeah, but they helped it out. I mean, and then I've just been, like I said, busy knocking stuff out of the gym, building equipment. I've had a couple friends help me move a couple things in, and it's just been really, though, just been rolling solo, just getting it done. So hopefully by the end of this week, next week, like we'll have it completely done, set up and with everything we need. And I'll be doing little improvements here. I'm gonna add a ice bath. Maybe I want to get an ice bath really bad.
God, that'd be so great.
Yeah.
But we're actually running up on our little break here, so we got to kind of give everybody a layout of everything, and we'll do a quick little
go back into the deeper stuff.
Internal ad read.
Yeah.
and then we'll be back. So yeah.
All right. So quick advertisement. One, check out Cinema 83. What is it? Cinema 83 what? Cinema 83 LLC on Instagram for all your content needs. Like I said, we've been working with each other since day one. He's been doing a lot of killer work for me, so we've got a good rapport built, good relationship, and, he's very helpful. He's taught me a lot of shit that I don't know. So yeah, give him a shout. And also the main sponsor of this show, Relentless Pursuit. Check us out at Relentless_Pursuit on Instagram, RelentlessPursuitLifestyle.com, and Relentless Pursuit HQ on Instagram as well. That's everything related to this building and stuff we're going to be doing here. But yeah, definitely check us out, and more to come. I think it's been working pretty good. So
no, that's what I'm saying. It sounds great. I don't know why I was doing it earlier, but whatever. It works.
Technology, man.
So there we go. Check out your boy and check out Relentless Pursuit all over the place. Actually went to the bathroom. I'm assuming that's what you said.
Something like that. Yep. Something along those lines.
Cool.
But
So going back to what we were talking about before.
Yep. You take off with it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I kind of want to lead off to, I was trying to make sure I held, that you mentioned was, you were talking about being on your couch, in tears, basically experiencing like survivor's guilt. So it's interesting because obviously I've never been through something like that, so I'm not speaking from experience at all. But whenever I think about survivor's guilt, I think of like a situation like maybe in the military where like part of the platoon, doesn't make it and the other part does, and it's like, why not me for my boy who didn't make it or something like that. So what is that like to kind of feel that, that survivor's guilt in a situation where you were like the only person that was involved? You know what I mean? Like, where does that come from, I guess? Like, you think about other people who were in accidents that didn't make it.
Perfect example. So the day of my accident, there was this kid. So I don't know if some people may remember that follow the brand, but so obviously I'm, insured by, like, I'm taken care of by the VA. So when I went through Vanderbilt, did all my, I had to go through ICU there and everything. Well, the VA still took care of me, and they ended up giving me like providing things I needed. And they gave me this wheelchair that they had one of, and it happened to be like a spinal wheelchair, like a really nice, like high-end wheelchair. So I had that, and I made a Facebook post when I got out of it, and I was like, hey, I want to donate to somebody. I don't want it to be sold. Like, I really want to get it to somebody that needs it. And someone had connected me with this mother. And long story short, this lady saw me in ICU that same day. Mm-hmm. She was on that same wing or whatever. Yeah. But come to find out, her son, it was the day of his 18th birthday. It was that morning. He was driving, ran off the road, and didn't have near as, like, dude, you talk about my injuries like as a laundry list, like freaking 40 things that I had going wrong. It's like, and like this dude's alive? What the hell?
And like a dozen of them were could have been fatal.
Yeah. Like I should be dead.
Like a lot of them could have been fatal.
Exactly. Yeah. This is insane. Well, this kid didn't have any like broken bones or anything that I'm aware of, but he had brain damage. Dude, he's still in like a rehab facility learning how to talk and stuff, like jacked up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I reflect on things like that. Like, here I am, I've done a lot of good in my life, but I've done things wrong. I mean, I'll own it. I've hurt people. I've just done some shitty things that I'm not very proud of, but I mean, obviously it's part of the journey. It is what it is. These things make you who you are. So, but I think about that kid. I'm like, man, like, this kid's 18, like a decade behind me in age, more than that. And he may not get to do the things I do or have done. And I'm like, why is he in that position with just that one injury, as opposed to me? I was able to survive and be where I'm at and be thankful for my experience, scratch free and all that shit. Yeah, I got some aches and pains. I blew my knee out when I had my fight in January and had to get surgery. Like, there's things that are going to come from that always. It's something I think I reflect on every day. At some point, I'm thinking about that accident. It just is what it is. But yeah, that's where it comes around. I'm like, shit, man. Like,
relatively speaking, to your injuries and to like the damage that you took, you're relatively scratch free.
Yeah,
like relative. Like you said, you'll be dealing with shit probably for the rest of your life. But for the fact that, like we said, a dozen different things could have killed you that day.
Exactly.
You're to be sitting across from me right now is pretty miraculous.
Yeah, it's insane. So I think that's just one of those things I kind of reflect on. And there's other situations too of people that have been through stuff. So it's just like,
so how do you, what is your, and I don't know, I think would be would be a sufficient answer, given the fact that this is such a hard thing to deal with. But like, what's your conclusion on that?
I think it's just there's a huge spiritual significance to it for me. So, I have my gods and whatnot. I believe that this was just a test, one good example is, let me think. It was what I would call an Odinic experience. So it's just a test to see, if I'm worthy and whatnot. And
Odinic as in
the god Odin.
Yes.
And I'll probably have this talk with somebody in depth about like my spirituality. I believe in like everything, like Indo-European beliefs, my ancestral beliefs. So the Germanic stuff, Hindu stuff, all of that ties in together. That's all what I study and what I believe in. But for lack of better words, Odinic experience. And I think it was just a test from the gods to push me, to see how I reacted to such a tragic situation. And so there's a huge spiritual significance to, the why. And so I tell myself that. I'm like, man, you were meant to go through this. So, I feel like I barely scratched the surface in life. Like there's so much more for me to do and a lot of positive work for me to do as well. And that's something I'm really geared in with Relentless Pursuit. Like it's a positive message, but we barely scratched the surface now. And like, I'm looking forward to coming up in over the next year. And like, while we're in this space now, I can start hosting, like doing like charity events and doing things that give back and help people out. Cause that's really, that's my purpose in life really, is to help others, and be a light in this world. And I truly believe that. And I think that's what, they have set out for me. I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else, that's been through some shit that's like I said, has it way worse than I do.
Right.
I can't speak on that, but I know personally that's like where it's at for me. And I have to constantly remind myself of that, even though it gets hard as shit, like I said, in those moments where I'm having crushing anxiety and whatnot, to where it's literally tearing me apart, and a lot of people have a hard time speaking on anxiety and whatnot.
That's where I was going to go next.
Especially men.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. Is I think it's a big deal. I told you about this whenever we were talking about doing this episode, because last week, whenever we were kind of brainstorming, at first we didn't. I guess our thought wasn't that we were going to do this, but then as soon as we said it, it was kind of like, yeah, that's probably something we should do. Kind of talk about this stuff. But one of the reasons why we thought we should talk about it, one of the things I told you that I thought was really important that you're bringing up here is the anxiety stuff. Something that I deal with heavily. I've been, I have a therapist that I've gone to for years. I've taken different medication for it. I'm not on any medication now because I took myself off of it, but it's something that I've dealt with as well. And I'm also a man. And so I can speak to the side of like, that people don't talk about it enough, that people should talk about it. And I can also speak to the side of like looking at you. And it's like I said, this is what I said to you before. I think that it would be difficult unless you knew you to not think that you like this big badass fucking handsome motherfucker. There's no way that this guy's like, he doesn't know what the fuck I'm going through.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck does he have to be anxious about? He's got this, that, and the other. He's got, money, at least from the outside looking in. It's like, you don't know what the financial situation is with anybody. But the point is that people...
Shit's tight, man. This place was expensive.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, too, is that you think, well... Yeah, again, people don't understand the financial situation. They don't know what goes in, they don't know what goes out, and that kind of thing. But point being is that, I guess what I'm saying is that you could be very easily misjudged. And I'm not even talking about the like the religious side of stuff, because that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
I just mean that you could be misjudged as like you get out of your super nice truck with your branding on the side and you're looking good and you have this great energy and stuff, and people think, well, he ain't got a care in the fucking world. Well, he would never know what it feels like to blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude.
That's what most people do, though, is they look at the surface. They look at your aesthetic. They look at, that's why I think things like that, the material things. They look at, oh, man, like, their family. Like, I got a amazing family. Everybody that knows me knows my family is fucking awesome. I got the best family in the world. I will say that up and down 100 times, like I'm extremely grateful for them.
Well, and even your girl, like what did we just touch on earlier? The kind of journey and the kind of process it took for you to be able to find somebody that, that you feel the way that you feel about her. That's not on the surface. It's like, oh, he has a hot girlfriend. Great. Like, of course he does. It's like, dude, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know like what I had to do to be able to even be in the same room as this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's a good chance that day that I made a different decision. I wasn't there. Yeah. I had to be in the right mind space to even be there. We've handle, like you said, she's has her own stuff she's dealing with that you guys, I'm sure, work through together. That's part of why you're so strong. So like there's work that is put in there, right? But again, like you said, people look at the service and they're like, oh, it's,
Well, people don't look at
he got it all made.
The underlying things, the life's journey, the different stuff people have been through, man. They're not willing to check that out, And
to be fair, last thing I'll say about that, to be fair, like on a day-to-day basis, people have their own shit going on, and I get to some degree why people make snap judgments, because it's like you don't have time to get into every single person's whole life story. I get that, but you also shouldn't. If you're not going to take the time to know, then you shouldn't say anything. You shouldn't judge at all unless you're going to take that time. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I have moments almost daily, like where I'm calling somebody out, especially in traffic, because I can't stand people on the road. But I just I make judgments all the time. We all do. For anybody to sit there and be like, I never judge, I love everybody, you're full of shit, man.
100%.
Like, we all freaking judge.
100%.
We all do, man.
It's also just natural. It's like a biological thing, dude. Like, you make determinations quickly to try to survive. I mean,
but realizing you're doing it and owning it. Like, because I'll have a moment and I'm like, maybe said something about somebody, then I just kind of step back, once I can catch a breather and like calm my temper down. I'm like, you know what?
Maybe I don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't even willing to admit that.
Yeah.
And I think anxiety is something I like talking about now. My brother Brett, he's also one of the athletes for RP. He's just had his pro bare knuckle fighting championship debut.
BKFC,
knockout in the first round.
Did he really?
Yeah, dude.
Was that since we talked last about that? He had that fight? Because I know last time we were talking, you told me he got signed, but I didn't know that he...
Yeah, he got signed, and then he had a fight in Jackson, Mississippi, like last month.
Okay.
And like we rolled up there.
Knockout, huh?
Yeah, we rolled up there. We were all hyped up as shit, and like, I mean, I was so pumped when I saw him knock that dude out. I almost flipped the whole table. Like beers were spilling on people. I was like, yes, fucking go, Brett. I was fired the hell up. But that's one thing he goes through hard, man. He's had a rough life. He's been through a lot of shit, and he's been very open about his anxiety, and that's also been a big eye opener for me. And I'm like, man, I need to open up about this shit too, because it is a important subject. Because I think, especially, I hate to say it, but it's like a boomer mentality to not believe in those things.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I've had kind of that boomer mentality, like, oh, depression is bullshit. That's a clinical thing. They made that up. Yeah. Oh, anxiety, that's bullshit. Maybe thousands of years ago, people didn't deal with the mental shit that we deal with today. But yes, they had to fight to survive and stuff. But if you think about it, their lives were much simpler.
Oh, yeah.
They had to survive, the weather and like, war and like, shit like that. But it was just, they were living to survive.
It's kind of like A to B with them.
But nowadays we got like technological warfare, psychological warfare. It's on your TVs. It's in the music. It's in everything. It's in social media. It's evil as fuck. Mm-hmm. And everybody has to deal with this shit now.
It's too much.
And now you're like, holy shit, no wonder I have anxiety and stuff like that. Like, we live in a pretty wild world, man. And boomers still think like we're living in the past. And it's like, no, this shit's real.
Yeah.
And a lot of people deal with it, you know what I'm saying? And it's pretty unfortunate, but like, how do we help, Yeah. But that's what we do here, man. It's like, that's why I'm being open and authentic about my shit I'm dealing with, because like, maybe someone will see like, oh man, look at Joe, like, he's doing this, and this in life, but man, he deals with the same kind of shit I do.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You make it relatable, and it can help open people up and like help, push them in life, I guess you could say.
100%. And I think those are actually really good, like practical examples. I have a mind that like thinks like that as well. You start thinking about just really big stuff, and you start thinking about really existential type issues, and you start thinking like, okay, well, like you said, no wonder really, if you think about it, it's like this stuff is really just came around like yesterday when it comes to like human history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the TV was invented like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 100 years ago, like the television. And I don't know the actual number on that, so I may be off. But the point being is that it wasn't that long ago that like a TV was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, what is that talking box, type thing? And you look at 100 years from just 100 years, and in the big scheme of things, that's like that.
Yeah.
And we're sitting in front of podcasting mics with this giant recorder and these camera, it's wild. And like my grandfather, he actually did, photos and videos, which I didn't really know till I started doing it. And And he has Parkinson's and dementia and stuff, so he, it's kind of difficult to talk to him. But he'll try to talk to me about stuff sometimes, and it just made me realize like the opportunity that I have. You know what I mean? Like this guy, I don't know if he would have done this professionally if he had the chance, but I know he didn't have the chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a camera back then is $10,000. Then you got to go get the film. Then you got to get it developed. And then, I set this camera up over here and hit play. And we sit down and talk. I mean, you have to get the equipment and set it up. And you have to know what you're doing. Like, there is obviously a skill set, too. There's obviously more to it than just hit and record. But the stuff that we have available to us is just wild on the good and bad side.
Yeah.
And the social media thing, one thing I want to bring up that I think about a lot is, like, I don't know if you heard this whenever you were growing up, but that, like, the human brain's only, like, made to handle, like, 150 social connections. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but I've heard that.
I've never heard that, yeah.
I've heard that many times.
Makes sense.
Like, the human brain has developed to handle, because that's, like you were saying, that's your tribe.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, there's not going to be a 3,000 person tribe. I mean, there's, like, Romans that are huge civilizations and that kind of thing, but as far as, like, the human brain evolving to survive and to be a part of your tribe and to be a part, and also that's why people are, like, you were talking about people that act like they don't judge people. Dude, human beings are tribal.
We're all
what you
tribal.
do, you get into a group, and then there's an in-group and an out-group. It's just basic psychology. You know what I mean? And it goes all the way back to that tribe mentality.
We've been tribal since day one.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's how you survived. But now, it's like I have literally no following compared to 99% of people. But like my business page, for example, has like 1,400 followers. My personal page is like 600, which, again, is literally nothing. But even using the example that we just used, 600 followers, that's 600 people. Your brain just doesn't even know what that means. You can't even, like, understand that those are 600 individual people. Well, then you talk about somebody who has 10 or 50 or 100,000 followers, and they're getting all these interactions. Your brain cannot handle it.
It's super overstimulating.
Yeah. And also you talk about, like, the anxiety thing too with social media. When your brain can't handle it. Also from the standpoint of, like, if somebody leaves a negative comment, it just feels so real. Or if any kind of negative interaction like that. And there's one side of you that's like, eventually you get to a healthy place of, like, who cares, just some random troll on Instagram. You know what I mean? But your brain actually wants you to acknowledge that as a human being.
Yeah.
And your brain wants you to acknowledge that as, like, the tribe society is telling you this is bad, so don't do it anymore. It's like, now that's not really the case. There could be just some fucking 7-year-old sitting behind their phone at home who just wants to say something mean because they had a bad day or some shit. Like, you don't know. The anonymity of social media has made it to where you don't really know who you're talking to. But again, your brain has not caught up with this kind of stuff. And I don't know that it will. I mean, our brain's been the same for a long time.
No, for real though.
So
it's super over. Like, I mean, I get extremely fucking overwhelmed with social media. Okay. Cause it's like we had that talk yesterday or last week when you came and you gave me the whole breakdown on, like, social media and how to do it and everything. And, I'm like, okay, so now I got to start, like, commenting on people's posts with the brand. I've got to start, replying to their stories, like, interacting with them. And I get really anxious from that. I'm like, holy shit, that seems like so much, but it is, like, cause I got my tribe, I got my family, I got my woman, I got other great friends. So I want to keep those connections and make them important and, not, like, take back on those, because that's just very important to me. But also, like, now I got all these other people that I love seeing what they're doing and stuff like that. But, like, I don't know. A lot of times I like to post and ghost, and I'm like, I realize, like, man, I can't do that. I actually have to interact. That's how people become. You keeps it personal and everything. So I'm like, I'm having to, like, suppress a lot of, like, being overwhelmed just to engage with people, And I did have one of my athletes, like, doing my marketing, my social media and stuff like that, like, just becoming in this space though, and all the overhead, like, I had to backtrack. Now I got to do it all on my own for a little bit, but eventually I'll get back to, like, supplement that out to somebody else for some help at least. But, it's just another thing, man. It's like I said, there's thousands of people now I got to interact with sometimes. And, sometimes people reach out to me and, like, all day, man, I'm go, go, go. That's just, like, my life. Yeah. So I hate being on my phone anyways. And I'll get, like, a message, kind of a deep message from somebody. And I've had people message me something heartfelt, and I'm like, shit, I need to get to this, but I want to give them, like, a good reply. So I was like, I'll do that later. And then I totally forget. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I feel like such a piece of shit. Yeah. Just so you know, if you've ever reached out to me with some heartfelt shit, do it again. I'll try my best to get back. I feel bad because I get so sidetracked, and, like, I'm also kind of a like all over the place person anyways. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, I see a fucking squirrel.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I think that's actually a good point though, because like, I mean, I try to, what does that time say on that right there?
20:37.
Just says 20?
20 minutes, 40 seconds.
Oh. Sorry, guys, 1 second.
Working through the kinks. I gotta piss soon.
It's not as late as we thought. Well, we got about 9 minutes and we'll get cut off again.
Arms look good though.
I should have flipped that around. Yeah. If you get a lot of eye contact from now on, it's because Joe's looking at himself in the camera.
Yeah.
But
what's up?
What I was going to say is that I think, you know, to try to take some kind of, you know, a positive takeaway from it, I think that's important. You know, we don't, like, both of us are operating on social media despite everything that we're saying is because we recognize it as necessary for our brands and our businesses. But also, I think that it's a good takeaway to use that as an example, what you just brought up. And there are positives.
Yeah.
You know, like somebody from North Dakota that reaches out to you and leaves you a heartfelt message that you can reply to in 2 seconds. That's pretty cool. You know, there's positives to it. I think you just have to focus on that. And like I said before, like I do think that it's you know, your brain doesn't really like it, but I think that realizing like that some people are trolls and not focusing on the negative of social media and really just accentuating the good that it could do for your message. Because like you said, that's the point, right? Just get the message out there to as many people as possible. Well, that's a good conduit for that.
Yeah.
You know? So just trying to focus on the positive parts to it is the best thing you can do, but it's a lot though. It's a lot.
And then, you know, the podcast is a good way to communicate with people too, without like being directly communicating with them one-on-one. It still helps get that message to people. You know, I saw a post recently, on some chick's Instagram page. I think it was called like Chicks or something like that. I don't know, but it was like, oh, why don't we need to get cameras and mics away from men. We don't need any more podcasts, you know, hating on podcasts.
Yeah, I hear that a lot too.
And I'm like, you know, yeah, there's a lot of people doing podcasts and some come and go. Like most of them probably just come and go, right? Yeah. You know, a lot of people aren't willing to take it all the way and have a space and spend thousands of dollars on equipment, you know, but at the same time, whatever you're talking about, for the most part, people need that message.
Yeah.
Like there's so many podcasts out there that provide such good value for individuals. And like, why hate on somebody trying to just like get a message out to somebody, you know, and like get people something to listen to of value. Mm. You know, it's much more valuable than creating memes and talking shit on like, you know, a reel or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a great thing. So,
well, and like with the numbers problem that we have, like we were talking about with our brains, don't we just have like a numbers problem, not being able to like understand like the raw data that we're getting at this point? You know, like I said, you get 1 million likes on something, it's like I would freak out and you would freak out, but like there's people out there that's like, oh, it's not enough, you need 2.5. It's like, no, that's 1 million people. Yeah. With accounts that, you know, it's a big deal, but it's your brain just can't handle it. But fuck my life. I forgot what I was going to say. I had a point, but I forgot.
It's all good. We might have to cut this one short because I got pissed pretty bad.
Okay. Well, let's take a break and we'll come back.
But I will say, I wanted to touch on this. A lot of people too, like they get too reliant on social media. Yeah. God, everybody, please just realize that it's not real life. That's why I put such an emphasis on like my tribe and my family and stuff, and so much importance into that, because say everything burns down, I know I got people to depend on that I can trust and that I, you know, can rebuild with and that like are there. Like that's a value. If you just rely on social media for all your relationships, shit hits the fan, you're out of luck, man. You're going to be alone.
Well, and also you're not in control of that. Like what if Instagram just shut your account down? Good luck. You know what I mean? Like if you have no legitimate, like anything that's been built,
I'd be annoyed.
That would suck for anybody. But what I was going to say before is that the podcast, like, oh, stop making podcasting. I've heard that lately too. And whenever I first started this shit, dude, was in 2017. Whenever I started my YouTube channel, you know, and like there was nobody around here that had a YouTube channel at that time. It was bigger then than it had been at any point to that time. But now it's like everybody has one, and I don't hate on that because I get why they did it. You know what I mean? It's the same reason why I did it. Yeah. You know, you had something to say and you want to build a brand, and it's a creative outlet, and it's like we talked about earlier, we have these tools at our disposal. They're fucking awesome. Like, so you want to put your voice on that. I don't like, that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the judging thing, right? It's like, if you don't want to listen, then don't fucking listen. Yeah. But what, like, how is it bothering you? Yeah. How's it bothering you that we decided to...
What's the purpose of hating on it and making it a thing to hate it?
And then the second thing, going back to that numbers thing, is, you know, people get it really twisted, and I talk to clients about this too. But in particular, like individuals get it twisted sometimes, where they think that the only way, or you're not successful if you don't have, 100,000 subscribers or 1 million, whatever. And it's like, dude, you're actually a great example of that. When we were talking last week, I said we've put maybe 25% effort into the content side, for example, and that's a marketing side. That's to get the name out there and to do the things. Yeah. Whatever. Like there's obvious goals that go along with that. So if we're only putting 25% in, you think, well, that's not going to work. But oddly, over 2 years, your brand's done nothing but grow. People have connected to it more and more and more. We've done content.
I do want to touch base on this, actually. I got something good to follow up with that.
But the point is that you have a really, really strong base of people that support you.
Yeah.
And you have a really, really loyal base of people. And you have people the people that do take the time to listen to you and do take the time to listen to this podcast and listen to your story video and listen to the athlete stories that you've chosen to represent you and those kind of things. Those people become customers for life. And it's like that graph that I showed you before. Yeah. It's like in the beginning, you're not going to get that $1 million in an ad ROI, but what's going to happen is you're going to have somebody who's going to be a customer for life.
Yep.
So I say all that to say that if you have 100 or 200 or fucking 5 people that listen to your podcast every week, kind of flip that biology we're talking about and realize that's 5 people that are taking an hour out of their day to listen to you because they get value out of it. And that's
exactly.
That's important.
And that's all that matters.
It doesn't have to be 500,000.
I'm not a bitch.
Go.
Myself.
Yeah.
Go.
Do your thing.
Jesus Christ. Fucking coffee, man.
Now it's just your boy. Now we'll take a break. We were talking about not needing
reach. Yeah,
we were talking about not needing a big audience, and I was talking about how you've built a really good organic reach. The other just random little point on that too, just as an example, people. That's what you're talking about too. Is people that talk about don't start a podcast or like that's enough of that, like blah blah blah. First of all, like dude, fuck that, bro. Who cares? Like, and I was just thinking about it just now. Like, I'm not old enough to like reminisce on like. I mean, I guess I am riding around your bikes in your neighborhood and shit. I guess I am, but I also was young enough to like be a part of like the video game culture and that thing too. So a little bit of both. But one thing I will definitely say that I can remember is like a time whenever you just did shit and didn't have to post it. Like I've noticed even in myself, like if I do like for this, like I'll take a picture of this and post it on my business page.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like with the podcast thing. Like if you and your boy want to start a podcast and, 5 of your other boys are sitting around smoking a blunt, listening to it and having a great time.
Yeah.
Like that used to just be enough.
Yep.
That used to be like, okay, we're just going to do this because we're going to have fun with it. And our friends enjoy it. And like, I don't have to be Joe Rogan. And a lot of people now like don't start if they don't think that they're going to like sign $100 million Spotify deal, or they don't think, at the end of the day, like if you're getting into it with like a money goal or like a brand like reach goal or whatever, you hear people talk about how the process is important, and you're not going to want to do that if you don't enjoy what you do. But that's a perfect example. If you and your boy want to sit down and do a podcast, it takes effort. You got to get equipment. You got to sit down and learn how to do it. You got to learn how to edit it, all that shit. But that's not going to be a big deal to you if you're doing it for the right reasons and you just think it's a good time.
Well, it's just the process.
It's going to be a big deal to you if you don't make $100,000, in a month, and you're like, oh, what's I put in all this effort. It's like, no, you should have put in the effort because you wanted to create the content, provide the value, have fun with your friend. Like that's the reasons why you should do it.
Yeah.
Not for those things.
Well, it's the process too.
Yeah.
And like staying pat. Well, I'll get to that, but like I said about having that small reach, like we don't have 1 million followers. Got like 3,000 or 4,000, right? And it's growing steadily. But I'd much rather have like 5, 10, 20, 100 people that are committed to what RP is about and the message and that like want to be a part of it than 1 million followers that just follow trends and they come and go and they buy some shit and then they follow and then, they go elsewhere. That's how it is in this market.
Yeah.
It's very saturated. But a lot of them don't have any kind of meaning or value really other than just like cool logos and good ad campaigns.
Right.
And we spoke on that as well.
Yeah, last time, just how you can basically pump, you can pump as much money as you want to into one ad and you'll get some single time sales. But if there's no soul to your brand or what you're doing, you'll get that one sale. And we were talking about ASRB. And we were talking about how you'll get those $80 pair of shorts and you're like, that's not worth $80. Yeah. Meanwhile, for you, which you wouldn't even do this, but even if you were selling $80 shorts, if somebody's connected to you and like they have that extra level, they're much more willing to pay that.
Yeah.
They're like, what am I spending $80 for? Like, even if they're nice shorts, like, I don't give a shit about this brand. Like, I don't care about this.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I ever sold $80
Nike.
shorts, I'd put $40 cash in the pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like, here,
100%.
Joke's on you.
Well, dude, it's like, on a small example, it's like I used to wear Nike all the time like a fiend. I mean, it's like what I wore. Like, I was just Nike'd up, dude. That's just like what I did. And now I'm like, bro, I don't give a shit, bro. You find me an Adidas t-shirt for $20, a TJ Maxx, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $70 for a tank top, dude. I don't care about Nike that much.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, now if Nike was my friend's business who I'd followed for, like, okay, maybe, but
and a little bit different.
Yeah, and then the last touch on that too, just on a practical note, whenever you have a small audience like that, even if your goal is to monetize, like your goal is to monetize this in some way. We talked about sponsorships and that kind of thing, but again, people's like their like idea of this is just a little bit skewed. And like, let's say you have 100 people that listen to your podcast. Most people that know anything about like, or have goals, I guess you probably wouldn't put 100 people as your goal. You probably have like 1,000 or 10,000 or whatever. But if you take 10% of any audience, right, and in that case, it's just 100 people. Just 100 people. If you take 10% of that, it's only 10 people. But if you take 10% of that and you have a product that you do an ad read for in the middle of your podcast like we just did, and 10 people consistently buy it every time you release an episode, and that's $20 a product, $200 an episode you just made. It's not, you're not a millionaire, but bro, you have 100 group audience, and you can monetize that. You only need a small subsect of people that are loyal enough to you and trust you enough and are, you bring enough value to. Most people aren't going to buy from you regardless. Like 50% of them probably at least aren't going to buy from you regardless. So you're only working with a smaller group anyway. And ultimately, you just do the numbers on that kind of stuff, and it doesn't. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, well, yeah, like you can you can make something for yourself. It's that people's expectations are just insane when it comes to social media and that kind of thing. So.
Well, it's about, and to me, the biggest thing with this, especially with RP, is like the passion. So a lot of times, in order to make a lot more money in situations, right? Typically, in a lot of situations, you have to kind of sell out. Not saying everybody does, but you have to, You have
to make kind of sacrifices.
Make sacrifices you don't want to.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing with this always is keeping it what it is. Keeping it what it's supposed to be, keeping it me, keeping it the team, keeping it like what it represents. I never want to alter or change from that. Because as soon as I do, I'm going to start losing a little bit of the love that I have for it. Mm-hmm. And when that goes south, then just everything starts to kind of fly out the window. I don't know, you just lose that passion and that fire towards it, as opposed to like keeping it true to what it's supposed to be. And because I'll be honest, like this brand's still growing. I've got apparels. I've sold a few places internationally and like all over the country, which is cool, but I don't profit at all. And knowing that, I still come into this space.
I think people would be surprised to hear
putting more money into it. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But with no profit, but it's okay. It's part of that journey. And it's like,
because you love it and you believe in it.
Exactly. And it's sacrifices like that. You got to be willing to look past but a lot of people are like, man, I didn't make profit in a year.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to scratch this idea.
Yeah.
But that's why a lot of things come and go.
Right.
Things don't last unless you really you put all your heart and soul into it. And like my heart and soul is in this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And everybody a part of it. So I don't know. That's just something I think is important to kind of touch on.
Yeah, no, that's the whole reason why you're coming back again.
Yeah.
The first comeback could have been whenever I talked to you at that time, maybe I was more right about what I was saying than I even realized. But I remember during that podcast, I was like, dude, I don't even know how you're doing this right now.
Yeah.
I was like, this even is extremely brave to me because of like everything you got going on. It's like, dude, there would be no excuse. Nobody would blame you for a second if nobody heard from you for a few months, and then after that's kind of what happened because you needed it. And, but the point is that you're, like I was listening to you tell that story earlier, about the few months since the last episode. And it's interesting whenever you like hear somebody else, maybe something that even you have gone through or whatever. And you like, I would have had and have had whenever I've had similar things go on, the same perspective as you, if like this fucking sucks, I'm not doing anything, like, whatever. But for me, looking from the outside in, it's like, dude, you needed that. Like you needed that time. You needed to take it away. You needed to refresh yourself. At that point, you've been working on the brand for almost 2 years, you know, and a lot of things had changed personally, professionally. There was just a lot of shit going on, and you needed some time, bro.
Yeah.
And the
I
reason
think we all do.
Yeah.
You know?
And the reason why I say all that too is that like you care, you love it, and you believe in what you're doing, you believe in your message. And that's why, you know, months and months later, we're back and we're better than ever because that's how you rebound. That's consistently in your life how you rebound.
And it's, you know, I wrote about this recently, and what sparked this conversation, that topic was a conversation I had with Brett again about like, you know, you can always move side to side, but never backwards.
Yeah.
So then, you know, things with the brand had kind of come not necessarily to a halt, but just slowed down significantly. Yeah. What I do, you know, I kept boxing, I kept training, you know, I was taking off of that. I had a fight in January. I was working on my mental health, you know, I was doing therapy. I was moving forward in other aspects of life.
Right. And
all while I was moving forward that, the brand was there, but you know, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's one thing to just stay halting everything. Like, all right, I'm not going to work on my physical. I'm not going to work on my mental health. I'm not going to work with the brand. Then you go backwards.
Yeah.
Because time's moving.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of catching up to do. But if you're moving forward and then other aspects that bring you forward, then everything else is going to come following and be like, all right, we're caught up. Let's get back to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just what sparked that conversation was I was realizing I had a lot of injuries from my accident. Just things that hadn't really occurred to me.
Yeah.
So like I blew out my knee. I had to get surgery. All right, that slowed me down for a little bit physically. You know, I started having heart issues. I had to freaking, you know, I had a lot of like sketchy tests, EKG, you know, stress tests, all that. I had to get a cath run up through my wrist all the way to my heart to make sure everything was operating okay. You know, thankfully everything's good to go for now, but I do have high blood pressure. I'm taking a lot of supplementation to combat that. You know, I don't want to be on official medications. Those things have other issues, but so I've started taking a ton of different things just in order to help my heart health. So that had me, so then I had like kind of slowed down in my physical aspect because I was like, all right, well shit, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You know, I love to be physical. Like that keeps me driven, that keeps me going. It's good for my mental health and everything. But I was stepped to the side and I was moving forward with the headquarters and everything. Right. So see how there was like transition there, like the brand slowed down physically, mentally moving forward. Oh shit.
Physically
I slowed down. Okay, the brand's moving forward, and it's just kind of like.
Well, you were looking at what areas can I control?
Yeah.
Right, and that has a lot to do with it, right? It's like like in the beginning when you were saying the brand's kind of slowing down. It's like, but you were taking care of things that you needed to take care of that were going to help that, you know, in like you said in other aspects, your personal, mental, physical health, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would have tried to force it with the brand, you probably would have burned yourself out and then not wanted to do it anymore.
Yeah. And of course I've had people, you know, a couple of naysayers be like, oh, you know, earlier this year, man, you've changed. Like people are asking what's going on with the brand. Oh, like you pushed people away. And I'm sitting there thinking like, one, I don't spend time with a whole lot of people besides, like I said, my crew, my woman and my family. So who the hell have I
who did I even
push away? You know, like how does that even happen?
Yeah.
Two, like the brand's still there, but it's like people don't want to realize like you have life too.
Yeah.
Like there's other things in life. Like this isn't just my life.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of other aspects to it. And of course, you know, a good friend of mine was like, Joe, man, at the end of the day, he was like, even if you did push people away, the people that matter are still there.
Yeah.
And that's all, you know, you should give a shit about. But I don't know. There's just something that got me thinking about that, you know, this subject did. But
well, the people that
and they see the work that you've been doing and they know what's up.
Well, and the people that said those kind of things don't see that work. And also it's
self-projection too.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's like, yeah, for one thing, those people are probably grinning behind your back that things weren't going well at that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, with your brand being what it is, Relentless Pursuit, I mean, it's really spot on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you've literally lived it before the brand started. You know, whenever we told your story video about your accident and stuff, obviously that's like the big thing that you go back to of like, you had to be relentless to push through that and to get through that and to survive that. But even with the stuff that we're talking about right now, I mean, that's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you went through, thought you were going to get married, didn't, had to move, all this kind of stuff. You're going through a lot of shit and you've you put the brand on your chest, literally and figuratively, and and lived up to the name of it. And that's what you are. You know what I mean?
There's so much more work to do.
Yeah. And so when people say that, it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And also, like, to your point too, you also know like where you want this to go. And we were talking earlier about managing your expectations, but it's also like being patient. And I'm horrible at this, but if you zoom out like 3, 5, 10 years, and you think, yeah, I took 6 months off after I got my engagement called off.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was right back to it, and like, you know what I mean? It's like you zoom out, and you're like, that. Who gives a shit, dude?
Exactly.
Like, it's gonna make it so much better. And like I said earlier about the way that you rebound, I mean, of course, I didn't have to go through any of the shit, so it's easy for me to say that. But
yeah, from
the outside looking in, it's like, I'm glad that you went. Like, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that you got refocused. I'm glad that you got because now you're at a totally different spot than you were at before. So it's like, okay, cool. Pull that bowstring back, and then the brand got pulled back a little bit like a bowstring, and now you don't shoot it forward. So yep. But to shoot it, you got to pull it back. You had to do that
without a doubt, man. And then, like I said, just taking the risk, like the headquarters. Another huge motivating factor with that is my boy Andy with Norse Fitness.
Mm-hmm. Sure, he'll be on here at some point.
Yeah, he'll be on here. I've been on his podcast, the Norse Mythology. Just kidding. The Norse Mentality podcast. I called it the Norse Mythology podcast one time. He gave me a lot of shit, but he was like, "Fuck you, Joe." No, but the Norse Mentality, and he had me on there. He had come to visit when I was at my old house, and we recorded. And he's just always been a really good, honestly, mentor. He started his brand 5-6 years before I started RP. Norse Fitness is huge. They've got a massive following. They ship worldwide. They've got so much going on. He's got an extremely highly rated podcast on Spotify from what I know. And, so I've always kind of like looked up to him in the aspect of business because like I'm not where he's at, but we got two totally different things going on, but also
there's some similarities.
A lot of similarities too. I mean, we think alike a lot, you know what I'm saying? So we're hard hitters. We got a lot of similar interests, so we're really close in that aspect. And so it's like, dude, like, what can I be doing?
Yeah.
And, I'd met with him and a couple other guys. We did like this mastermind weekend several months ago in the mountains and just, we bullshit a little bit, but we shot a podcast. And like, there was a point one day, like I sat there for like 3 hours just taking notes, and like, this was the goal, was the headquarters. And he's already got a gym and like a headquarters. He's got a Norse headquarters out there in North Carolina. And, so of course I'm asking him all the questions. He's like, dude, do this, this, and this. He said, Joe, look at it. Honestly, it's a blessing you're going in this by yourself. He's like, yeah, it would financially, it'd have been a little helpful to split the space with somebody else. He said, but I'd be glad it's yours now.
Yeah.
Because like it gives you more room for growth for your brand. If you outgrow it in a couple of years, as opposed,
you can leave.
Yeah.
Like you can move on without having to ask somebody
there's just less red tape. And he was like, so look at it like that, man. He said, if anything, this is going to force growth.
Yeah.
Because now this makes having the space and the overhead and all the costs that go into it. Now it's like, all right, I have to make this work. I have to make it survive. I have to do this. I have to do that. So this move made RP the priority. Because another thing too is, in the past, I'd been like, all right, I want to tackle this business venture. And that I've had all kinds of ideas, right?
Well, you were telling me earlier about, you said, I don't want to own a commercial gym. And I almost jumped in. I was like, weren't you telling me you were going to
At one point, but then like, that was a huge piece. He said, man, honestly, like, because he opened a commercial gym, like right when he started his brand. Well, his brand struggled for a couple of years. I wouldn't say struggled, but,
just didn't do what he wanted.
He wasn't able to do what he needed to with that for a couple of years because he was so busy, like freaking making sure this gym was going to survive and run, and like and so
which is its own thing.
Yeah, it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
with a personal training studio, it's pretty easy, man.
Yeah.
I train some clients, but like I'd basically just contract my trainers. They handle their shit.
Yeah,
there's no.
Yeah,
not
you get
a bunch
a lot of the benefits of that. A lot of the craziness that goes on with like a full gym.
Yeah,
memberships and
now he's navigated that. He was relentless towards it, and now look where he's at. But he was just like a big, he's a big help in like helping me get this going and what I needed to do. And just, I don't know, man, I really do appreciate the advice and the knowledge I gained from him. That just cut off.
Sorry about that, everybody. We're running out of camera battery here.
Camera battery, been pissing nonstop. It's ridiculous, dude.
So, but we are about an hour and a half in. So if you're still with us, you're amazing and a trooper.
Yeah.
And we love you.
Well, just to kind of
Wrap up, I guess.
give a briefing. So yeah, long story short, here we are, Relentless Pursuit headquarters. Totally new venture. Awesome part of the year, honestly. Awesome, segue for Relentless Pursuit. Some big things coming. I mean, we've got some more athletes on board. We got the fighters. We got, the bodybuilding competitors. We got the snowboarders, the jiu-jitsuers.
Yeah.
We got the freaking we just sponsored a CrossFit athlete, so we're breaking into that area. We got my parents working with my dad. He's getting his Ironman coaching certifications.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to start like a Relentless Pursuit Ironman endurance team.
Awesome.
So we're going to talk about that more, but basically get a website like RP Endurance or something like that, and like let them kind of my parents kind of lead the way on that whole thing. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, just
it's really cool to see like you breaking into the different sports.
You want to go after every avenue, man, because that's the thing. This mindset isn't,
just for
one
weights.
thing. Yeah. There's so many pieces to it. I mean, it goes into everything in life. If I had someone that was an artist that wanted to, was promising to be a part of it, that was just painting and shit all the time. Yeah. We could do all kinds of stuff. So long story short, we're here. A lot of great stuff coming. Athletes are doing killer things. Very proud of them. Proud to have them part of this team, and just grateful for everything in life right now, man. It's really cool.
It's really great to hear that you're, in a better spot.
Beautiful spot. I can't. I have like no complaints. I wouldn't mind like $1 billion, but who wouldn't mind that? You know what I'm saying? But no, I'm very grateful. Like very good spot in life, and we're really excited to get this podcast going. Like I said, August 1st, this drops. Recording with my athlete Steve next week, and getting another recording in sometime before the beginning of August as well. And then we'll just start launching them weekly and recording nonstop. And this thing's going to grow, and it's going to be beautiful. So
yeah, I'm excited for it. I think everything we talked about today, like I said, is extremely on brand for you. Obviously, it was good to be able to catch up with everybody and let them know, what's been going on. But the value that you brought today, and the lessons that you've learned over the last year or so, I think is super on brand. And you put your head down this year, and now you're in a great spot, and that's everything that you're about. So
hell yeah, bro. I appreciate
that's the best way to put it. Yeah, you guys won't have to deal with me anymore after this. Steve will be here next week. Your athlete, like you mentioned, who is what is it called when you lose one limb?
Paraplegic or something.
That's what I thought.
I don't know. Anyways, he lost a leg in a motorcycle wreck. So
that's what I was trying to get to.
We've both been through the motorcycle trauma in our own ways. Yeah. And so
that'll be a really good episode.
But we both are hard chargers, making badass shit happen, looking at that event as such a positive thing,
right?
That we both share. And so it's going to be really cool to just kind of like basically be all stoked and excited, just sharing that mindset with this dude. So really excited moving forward. Yeah.
Well, Joe, like I said, we'll go back to being the host next week. It was good to be with you guys again. I've been on the last two somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
I appreciate you, man. Hell yeah.
Definitely give me a follow if you would at Cinema83 LLC, like Joe said earlier during the ad read. And then certainly follow Joe on all his Instagrams and stuff. I'll let you give that away, and then we'll be out of here.
Yep. Once again, Relentless_Pursuit on Instagram, Relentless_HQ on Instagram as well for the headquarters, and RelentlessPursuitLifestyle.com for the website. And definitely check us out. Like I said, podcast coming, start August 1st. We got a grand opening in this building August 7th, and the beginning of the month there'll also be a whole new release. So a lot of big things happening here shortly. Thank you.
All right. Good work, baby.
Hell yeah, bro.